Mark Ramsey, and I'm talking today to Paul Krasinski. Paul, as many of you well know, is Chief Operating Officer of Ando Media Group, and Paul is at the center of online radio, the world of online radio, both as it relates to pure plays and broadcasters in the online radio space. Hello, Paul.
Hey, Mark, how are you? Thanks for hosting me this morning.
I'm awesome. It's good to see you. And I actually mean see you. It's funny.
Literally, see you. So bringing video to the audio world.
That's
Thanks
right.
for making that happen.
That's right, and it's only appropriate. I want to talk to you, Paul, about the state of online radio today. There's lots of stuff in the news about AFTRA rules and potentially those rules being released such that what's on a radio station over the air will be the same commercial-wise as what's on the actual stream. There's that piece. There's the revenue piece. There's the audience piece. There's so many pieces to online radio. Where are we right now as an industry in the space of online radio?
We need a reality check. The fact of the matter is that the pendulum is definitely shifting to digital. We can't employ the same tactics as we always did, where radio and the online seems the same and it's just an upsell and, hey, for supersizing your fries, you can get the stream. I really think that there needs to be digital strategies. There must be, this is a must-do. This can't be something that we just really talk about at cocktail parties anymore. It really has to be employed, it needs to be deep, and it needs to be executed within these buildings. Really, you know, if you look at the numbers from where I sit, I have a very interesting kind of position on just looking at aggregated data. The fact of the matter is, if you look at the traditional terrestrial broadcast groups, they have been slightly down in audience over consecutive months, where you see internet-onlys doubling and growing dramatically, both from audience size, audience engagement, and more importantly, from the CPM pricing charge. And I think it's really interesting to have this dialogue with you, so thanks so much for providing the forum. And we started asking, well, why is that happening? Why are the traditional media groups seeing, you know, a slight drop? Why are we being so bullish on the market if that's happening? And if no one's making revenue, you know, what are we doing? The fact of the matter is there's tremendous revenue opportunity out there. I think where we are in the life cycle is still in the early innings of this game. One, we've got growing audience that's reaching a critical mass. Two is we've got more ad spend coming into this space, but it's still not enough to really say, hey, it's got to be on every single buy. But that's changing. I think if you look at the likes of a Pandora, a Slacker, or otherwise, whether we see those groups as, you know, threats, opportunities, strengths, what we really got to talk about is they're an advocate for the business. They're helping the business grow. They're stimulating this growth. And in reality, everyone wins. So why are they growing and others maybe flat to down? I think the fact of the matter is it really comes down to three pieces. One is the content experience. Users are getting exactly what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. Namely, they are able to access this content wherever. Second is their knowledge of their audience. Really the ability to segment, target, and focus on the value of your audience is something that ultimately is getting these groups high visibility within these agency organizations. And then finally, I know it sounds obvious, but it's one I want to reiterate, which is pricing discipline, right? Some of these groups will not even show up to a meeting that isn't in a high, you know, double-digit CPM, so, you know, $15, $20, $25, $30 CPM. It's hard to get some of these guys out focused on it. And why is that? Because they understand their audience. They know what these brands are looking for, and they also understand that what they have is valuable beachfront. And that's one thing that I think radio has lost a little bit in this piece, which is really, you know, we can't employ the same tactics. You know, the stream and digital is not the same as over the air. And I know that there's, you know, that's kind of the core question in this performance royalty and AFTRA issue is, you know, if we move in this direction, if we accept some of the proposals and changes that are being discussed openly in DC, is that going to have simulcast the same as the over-the-air? And is that a good thing? In reality, I don't think it is a good thing. I think that broadcast groups really need to understand this is a separate stream of revenue, a separate content, programming, and sales opportunity. And we've been able to sit with fact-based driven, data-driven decision-making opportunities. So we see it day in and day out. Those groups who are doing innovative content opportunities across different environments and platforms, that's really where you start to see the value. So, again, to the groups that I believe have been a little bit further behind the adoption curve and saying there's no revenue to be had, I would really strongly challenge that, which is, I know we'll get to it a little bit later in this conversation, but, I don't want to leave it open-ended. I think we really need to talk about there's too many feel-good radio dialogues that go on and conferences and otherwise. I think it's time that we hit this head on and say the reason that audiences are growing on digital, ad spend is growing on digital, more of the pendulum is kind of shifting into our space. It's not your dad's Oldsmobile anymore. I think the streaming platform has an opportunity to really deliver tremendous value, different value. So from my perspective, I think where I sit, digital is going to be about, first and foremost, the knowledge of the consumer and the ability to target. That's what brands are looking for. That's what agencies are looking for.
Reading the trades on a daily basis, one would get the impression that the best thing in the world would be for these after rules to be eliminated and for radio broadcasters to be able to take the inventory, the spot inventory that's on their air, drop that same spot inventory into the stream, pack the two together, and go to the traditional agencies and say, look,
Right.
if lightning strikes and Arbitron happens to have a meter in the right place at the right time, my share is half a share higher than it used to be before.
Right.
Why is that logic wrong?
Well, I think that it's flawed from a couple perspectives, regardless of how I feel about surveys, estimates, and panels versus census. Let's leave that alone. I think more importantly is it would be a missed opportunity, a lost opportunity cost for every single broadcaster simply to simulcast their broadcast, put the same inventory online, because really we're not talking about just inventory and sales. First, as I said, it is a sales opportunity, but let's rethink. The digital world, you don't have 30s and 60s and 15s and 10s and blinks and all the other great things we've come up with. You have the ability to create branded entertainment content. You have the ability to unharness the program director to look at new content opportunities. And for that, with knowing who the audience is, you're able to charge far more than you would on a spot basis. I think that at times being able to invest in resources, capitalize some of these things, try new things is scary. But the fact of the matter is, if the rest of the adjacent spaces around radio are evolving, we must evolve as well. It won't be okay from a revenue and ad spend perspective to walk into the traditional media buyers and say, hey, here's a stream, it's going to give me a half-point boost, and here's how we're going to go forward. I think what we need to look at is today, 85% of the ad revenues coming through the network buying and spot buying world. But this is going to change, and it's not going to change in 3 years. It's going to change in 5 months. We're already getting inventory or inquiries from agencies where they're asking who is listening, what are they listening to, how are they listening, what device are they listening to, and can I geo-target them on a location-based service piece. So if those conversations are going on now, I guarantee you that Google, Microsoft, AOL, and Yahoo are having those intelligent conversations. Certainly, we've been an advocate, and we're drawing in all of these digital leaders, which I think is really exciting, but we must move off of that. And I believe, unfortunately, that there's industries, not companies, industries that are betting that radio will not mobilize and evolve the business.
Just so it's crystal clear, to pull back on this after thing, to essentially say, great, the afters issue is no more, and now we can plow our spots into our online streams. What that means is that all of that future you just painted, all of that opportunity you just illustrated, all of that advertiser momentum you just invited us to would be gone, right?
Certainly curtailed significantly, if not gone.